Welcome to Living Martial Arts with Master Ray Gale, aka the Dark Master. Living Martial Arts discuss and examines the everyday exercise, philosophy, and lifestyle of the martial arts enthusiast. The host talks about his own training, past and present, and he also interviews many martial artists to discover how they continue to live their own martial arts journey. Tune in for top tips on how to get the best out of your martial art. Or perhaps you're thinking of starting a martial art. This podcast offers you an easy way to dip your toe in. Sign up for the newsletter at livingmartialarts.com and get regular updates and training tips direct to your inbox. Follow the Dark Master on Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram at Living Martial Arts.
My watch turned it off or something.
No. So you were saying you were talking about Denmark Street.
I was in Denmark Street, and I play a little bit of bass, although I'm not practicing enough. And I play piano, and I play a bit of flute. I used to play flute, and I don't play as much now. Because I injured something in my throat, so it's not as easy to play now. But I came past there, and I went, "Oh, there's some really lovely guitars in the window." And you think maybe I should take up guitar as well. I'm going, no, you've got so many things you're crap at now. So beautiful. Yeah.
Well, I play guitar and I play blues harp as well. In fact, I'm going to show this out. There's my guitars.
Oh, lovely. Yeah,
I have a number of different. Yeah, I've collected them since the 70s.
Lovely.
I used to play in a bit of a band, but I still play for my own enjoyment, and I play blues harp as well.
Nice. Well, I used to play the Chromatic Harp,
Okay, yeah, Chromatic,
which I really like. Actually, it's such a good instrument, but it's a pig to keep clean, and the maintenance on it, and also it's a pig to play.
Yes.
So when you hear Stevie Wonder just double tracking himself on something, you think, it's too good. And you realise he's playing the drums as well on that same track, and the bass, and the trumpet, and unbelievable.
Stevie Wonder was one of my boyhood heroes, and in fact, my first daughter, my third child, is named after the song "Isn't She Lovely?" because he wrote it for his daughter Aisha. My daughter's called Aisha because nice name. Yeah, I love that song. But moving on to
when I was 16, when I was 16 and just starting karate.
Yes,
Stevie Wonder did a tour. He was 16. He was the same age as me.
Yes,
and he did a tour with the Motown with I can't remember the other people who came, and so I was as close as this to him. On stage in a little club. Smokey Robinson was on the tour as well.
Oh wow!
Right? And we're on a little stage, and I was at the front of the little stage. It was a little stage in a little club in Dalston.
Yeah.
Rolling Stones were on 1 week, Stevie Wonder the next week.
Yeah, wow.
Different times. That was when he was just starting.
Yeah, but I sort of saw him in his heyday. Actually, I saw him at Earl's Court in London, and
marvelous! Yeah.
He was awesome. He was awesome.
Yeah, genius. Yeah,
brilliant. But going on to back onto to martial arts. It's really how what are you doing now? We talked about in the first podcast about your martial arts journey and your start from karate up through. And it's really about how you're living your journey now and your everyday thing. That you do.
Well, as I said, I got into Jeet Kune Do in about 1979, and then Kali and the Filipino martial arts in particular, I thought were really very, very cool because they're all integrated. It's empty hands, so you can do all the stuff with the empty hands, and it's like kickboxing. Yeah, it's like kickboxing with grappling, with salat. It's a real hybrid mix, and you can do it with weapons, you can do it with knives, you can do it, and I just loved it, and I still do, and it still intrigues me. And I try to get a handle on it as best I can and hand it on to people. And so that's why I've changed a few things so it's a bit simpler to learn. But I've been a student with Dan since then, since 1979. You know, and I'm not the most close student to him.
Yeah,
because I'm not over there buttering him up all the time.
Yeah,
but as a mentor and a friend, he's here. You know, he's number one. As an inspiration, he's here. You know, and I'm not there every month because obviously he's in LA. But I've been quite happy to train with him all the time. So I just wanted to pay homage to him and the art by spreading it to people. So I with his help, I got introduced to lots of top of screamadors back then.
Oh.
You know, so late 1980s, 87. 87, I went to New York and trained, you know, Paquita Tertia with Greg Allen, who's recently passed away, and so he introduced me to Leo Gahay. So I'd just been training with him when I was there, but I got into really quite in close with the Paquita Tertia in New York and Bill McGrath and people like that. So I could go there every year and train there, and bring them back here. And then I just started introducing other people because I was always interested. So in my club, because I opened a big club in Hoxton called the Academy. You might have seen some photos on Facebook recently. And it was a really tough club, but very luxurious. So I spent a year on it, just doing it up. And eventually, when it closed, it was in the Hugh Grant film About a Boy. As they pretend it's his flat, and it's the background of his flat where there's these big wooden doors. Well, I cleaned those off. I did everything there. So, so I did that for 25 years. And we produced world champions and grandmasters, but we brought in loads of people. You know, so I was always saying, let's bring him in, and we'll train that. So we did Penjack Silat. We did 7 different styles of a screamer and Carly. We introduced or got the people in to do that. We get full contact people in. We had Johnny Yen in. Right in the early days to do a photo shoot, and it was just great. And because I was in Hoxton before Hoxton was Hoxton, I mean, those people who aren't in London maybe don't know what Hoxton is, but it's still got a big name about being, you know, the birth of, like, you know, it's the cool place to be. Yeah, you know, East London, Shoreditch, and Hoxton. Well, when I moved there, it was desolate. You know, I had some rich friends I used to teach. I used to teach some oligarchs, you know? And they used to say to me, I can't bring my car there. Every time I bring my car there, it's broken into. So I can't come anymore. But the thing about martial arts is it just introduces to all these wide variety of people. I know all these oligarchs, you know, billionaires and millionaires and arms dealers, you know, and you think, why would you ever meet any of those? And rock bands, as I said before. And I also used to teach Emerson, Lake and Palmer, if you heard him. That was another super group back in the 80s. I taught them. I taught Carl Palmer, the drummer on that, and travelled with him a bit, you know. So it's just the best job ever, and you meet everyone, and your job's not really to teach people to fight, although that's a big part of it. Your job's to empower people and then enable people, isn't it? To bring people up, you know. And I think that's the biggest reward you get from things. You take someone who's quite, unsure of themselves, quite insecure.
Yes.
And whether they're a billionaire or they're a plumber, or they're a bloke who's out of work, you can empower all of them, because they're all the same people underneath. They're all scared of violence. They're all scared of like themselves almost. They're insecure, and you just give them a sense of themselves that is the biggest thing in their lives. I mean, we were out yesterday, and somebody was there from the academy with his son. So he introduced his son to me, and so I gave him like a bit of a pep talk about life, the universe, and everything. And you think, well, where else would you get that? Where you're hailed and respected? Because in other jobs, it's thanks, bye, and you're gone. Where in this job, the longer you're in it, the more respected you are, particularly if you're active.
Definitely.
So, I'm always trying to persuade people to take it up as a living, because there's plenty of space for everyone, and because you're changing people right at the core of their being. I used to have a private student. He was like an Oxford graduate, very rich. He used to have a big auction house in Covent Garden in Long Acre. Huge place, and it was his. But he said, "No, my greatest achievement is this, having my black belt under you. It's the hardest thing I've ever done." And he said, and it's the most important thing I've ever done. And really, he had some mental health problems because he was quite lonely, and he was rich but lonely. And training 3 times a week was his anchor. Without that, he would have just combusted. And I think that's, well, I'm sure it's identical for you. You take a kid who's got no sense of himself, and then pretty soon, I'm head of this now. And you go, well, how did you get head of that? Well, because I just I knew who I was.
Well, as you say, I mean, it's people from all walks of life. I remember teaching a chap once who had 3 kids, and I think it was his wife and the 3 kids. This is many years ago, and I remember talking to him. I was in a cafe at this place I was going to teach, and I was chatting to him, and I said, what do you do for a living? He said, I teach the police how to use firearms. I said, oh, wow, how did you get into that? He said,
wow.
Yeah, and anyway, it turned out he was a special forces guy, and I remember saying, wow, that must be, he said, yeah, it's quite a difficult time, I've been shot a few times. And I remember he lifted up his top, and he had like 5 old bullet holes there. He said, I nearly copped it a few times. I'm thinking, wow. But when you spoke to him, if I didn't know that, he was the quietest, humblest sort of person.
Yeah, but they always are, aren't they? Yeah, Master Toddy used to say, the dog that bites doesn't bark.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's true, isn't it? You meet all the top people; they're really lovely. You meet Benny Kides, you meet like the Machados in jiu-jitsu, Roger Gracie, all of them. They're all very gentle people, because they can take your head off. There's a few arseholes, but there's not lots of them, is there? I think on the whole, people are just trying to help other people up the path. I'm always trying to talk people into doing this as a job, because I see people doing like boring jobs, and I say, and like all those things, isn't it? Is, are you the person? Are you becoming the person that your 12-year-old self wanted you to be?
Yes. Yes.
When you're dreaming about, I'm going to become a racing driver, and I'm going to have, I'm going to live in Monte Carlo and have loads of girls, and whatever your fantasy is, and obviously that isn't a good thing to have anyway. But you want to be someone that you're proud of, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
You want to become someone that you can go, that's who I've ended up as, you know.
Yeah.
And so this is a fabulous job because you get to do what you love.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I've got quite good at it. It's like a mastery thing, isn't it? You get introduced to other people who are masters in their art.
Yes.
As an equal.
Yes.
So I meet lots of jazz people because I've got a friend who's one of the top jazz drummers, and so he just introduced me to these other people, and I come in like they talk to me like an equal. Yeah. And even though I say I'm music cerebral, but I say, what about this? And we talk about art. We talk about because it's the same thing. It's about how you get to the no mind place where you're not thinking, you're just doing, and things are happening, and you're going, oh, I'm being very lucky, and things are just unfolding before you, and so art on all its levels, whether it's painting, music, or martial art, it's got a sense of you've got the same problems, and the same things.
Well, very, very much so, and I think I mean, I got into I got in karate very early on, and taekwondo, which is more of the traditional taekwondo, not the Olympic style taekwondo, but
no, which is the thing I like, the old style, the old ROK, hard style, Korean karate, which was just really nicked off the Japanese and just added Korean toughness on top of it, wasn't it? Because
definitely, and
it was they were incredibly tough back in the days. During the Vietnam War, when it was about being able to fight with it,
hand to hand,
it was hand to hand. It was very, very, very good.
Well, it was
very bad and very good. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, taekwondo in this country got spread via the military because a lot of the guys that came back from RAF and Army guys, and that's where when I first started training, I used to train a lot of RAF lock-in in Weston-super-Mare. We used to go up to the RAF Army camp in Taunton and places like that. But what I was going to say was that there's a pattern just before you get your black belt called Hwarang, and it's named after the Hwarang youth group. And they originated in the Silla dynasty. And the thing about the Hwarang youth group, where they were not just skilled in martial arts, they were skilled in calligraphy, poetry, music, and so on.
There's 7 excellences.
Excellent. And I will say to people, what does that teach us? And for me, it's about teaching us that we can see the beauty in lots of other things, not just what we do, but we can look at a piece of art and say, wow, that's great, that's talent. Or we can look at somebody singing and say, wow, that's a talent, and
it's all one, it's all one big continuum, isn't it? Because like they used to say about Chen Man Ching, who was like a famous Tai Chi master. They said he was a master of the 7 excellences, which was like calligraphy, poetry,
music,
warfare, music, art, all that, and I think that was a huge achievement if you can do that, because they're diverse, but actually they're the same as well. So it depends how you approach them, isn't it?
Well,
so,
I think.
But what's great about it is you fight better because you can see better, because you're training your eye to look, aren't you? You're training your ear to hear. You're just emboldening your senses, because, as Bruce Lee would say, I will turn your body into a weapon,
Yes,
but it's your body, isn't it? It's the whole body. It's your whole experience. It's not just up chuggy and Gyakuzuki. It's there's a lot more involved in it, and I mean, in Kali they have like a triangle thing. They go like warrior, scholar, guru, or they go see one, do one, teach one. So you've got this thing, ways of learning, and three. I find that you can probably get 3 things achieved in your life, 3 big things in your life. You can, to get 7 is pretty hard, I think. So you might be able to do music and martial arts and be a great dad, you know?
Yeah.
But that's 3, isn't it? And that's just to do those 3 is like to do those 3 well is huge, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
well, you
I
just
try not to aim at the 7.
Well, you hit on the 3 that I love the most, actually.
yeah. Well, because they're here, aren't they? They're to do with the heart, and I like the fighting aspect. I love that thing of putting your hand in the fan and seeing if your hand gets chopped off, you know? Just like saying, this is going down. Can I get my hand in? Oh, yeah, I can. Okay. And so I like the adrenaline buzz of that. Even though I'm a bit older now, I'm 71 now. I still like sparring as best I can. But I'm also quite introspective, and I like music. I'm quite happy to play hours of scales on the piano. And I do a bit of poetry.
Oh wow! I'm a poet as well. I love poetry. I do a lot of poetry.
It's all the same. And I think that's why the warrior scholar guru or warrior artist guru or warrior artist healer, it can be any of those. Is huge, because you need the warrior bit. Because without the warrior corner, you're sort of insecure. So for you to go and be a great scholar, you can't stand up for yourself. You know, you tend to be a bit I'm not sure about this, or it gives you courage and discipline. So do that corner, get that, and then you can be an artist or a scholar, and then you can be a guru or you can be a healer, can't you? But that they all, each informs the other, because once you're a healer, you know how to break things, because you know how to fix things. So it's sort of I think for kids anyway, it's just great, because I think for any kid, I think they should do martial arts until they're a certain age. You seem to have broken up a bit on my screen, but hopefully.
No.
We're still okay. And I think for kids growing up, it almost should be like, you have to do training. Until you're, almost. The difference it makes to your life. I mean, I know loads of guys who have just gone on to achieve such great heights. Well, just 2 things. So I have a very close friend, and we've been training for 40 odd years now together. And we train in the park every week. And he was a storeman. 4 candles, that sort of thing. 4 candles. There you go. 4 candles.
4 candles.
Like that. Yeah. So like that, he was a storeman, and then he did his green belt.
Right.
And then he went on to become the head of stores with a £12 million budget. And this is in the 90s, 12 million. So it'd be about 25 million. He was in charge of all of that. But that happened within about a 2-year period. He just went, no, I can do anything. If I can do my green belt, I can do anything.
Do anything, yeah.
And then this other guy I was teaching, Ibrahim, and we were talking about this thing about having a headlight here, having like a headlight on your chest. And that you're walking through life shining your light out, And we were talking about space. When you're sparring, I said, I want you to push this person back without pushing them. Just push them with your presence, with your you just go, no, I'm coming, and they move back, because they're social animals. So you've got this happening, haven't you? And just because you're a bit like that, they move back. And not really. You don't want to be aggressive. What you want to do is just open your chakra up here, and just shine your headlight, and so we did that. And he came back the next day and he said, have a look at this. And he showed me a picture of him outside 10 Downing Street. I said, well, oh, that's good. How did you get there? And he said, I shone my light. I went into work, and I just all day long, as you say, just had my chest open. And I was shining my light, and they said, "We need one of the tech guys to go and help the Chancellor of the Exchequer." Ibrahim, would you like to do it? Because he was shining, you know. And they went, yeah. So now he's great friends with the Chancellor of the Exchequer. Goes and fixes all these IT problems. It doesn't work. You go, give me a call. They're on a first name basis, and you're going, wow, that's just huge, isn't it? And he said it didn't take years for that down. He said it happened overnight. Overnight. So just like pushing them back. So the whole class just going. The whole theme of this class is we're doing whatever we're doing, but my presence is going to overwhelm you. As we're like pushing a block of ice between us that you can't see. And he said, it changed everything. He said, it's just, I'm using it all the time for everything, you know, girls. I've tried it, but it doesn't work.
Well, I was going to say from shining the light really to shining breath, because one thing that I found, I was hope nobody's listening to this, but I was 60 a couple of days ago, my 60th birthday, and I still enjoy teaching, and as much as I ever did, and I don't fight as much either now, but the thing that I found as I've got deeper and older in the martial arts is I found meditation a few years ago, and I do quite a bit of breath work, different types of breath work that I do. And it was just wondering whether, you know, I'm assuming that, you know, in your long sort of history in martial arts, some of the arts have probably incorporated some of that in just maybe a little way or maybe a big way. I don't know. Have you found that, or do you do any yourself?
Well, I've always had health problems since I was a kid. You know, like a family predilection thing. So I was always quite ill as a child. So I was either ill or bouncy, one or the other. I was in the hospital for a month. So my schooling was sort of broken. You know, so hence maybe why the art was a better track for me than the academics. The academic was always broken. I'd have a month off, and then I'd have another month off. And so I've got this gut problem where I can't really tolerate carbohydrates or sugars of any sort. You know, so I don't eat carbohydrate at all. No pasta, no rice, no.
Nor do I, funny enough.
Really?
Yeah,
How do you feel on it? Much better?
I feel extremely. I mean, I don't eat rice, potatoes, pasta, any of the carbs at all.
It's all sugars, and they're simple sugars. Sugar's hugely addictive. We never had sugar 1,000 years ago, or you get it occasionally. You know, the amount of sugar that you get in your diet was about this much, and now it's like up there somewhere. You know, because it's in every food. You go to Marks and Spencer's, it's added to bacon, added to ham, added to and back in the day, you'd have to go all day to get like a tiny amount of like fruit that had some. And as people don't really remember because they're not old enough. Like fruit would be a lot tartar, a lot sharper and sourer than it is now because they make it sweet. They bred it for sweetness. Because I remember strawberries, you had to put sugar on strawberries, otherwise they were a bit. And those cooking apples were uneatable. Well, you can eat them really easily now because they've sweetened them. So the whole sugar profile of life has gone up.
Yes, it has.
So I got lots of inflammatory problems that happen, like precancerous stuff, lots of that happening. And so I had to do the whole rigorous diet, cold baths, and obviously I had my hips replaced as well. When I was,
we're living parallel lives, Bob. Because I have cold showers, and I had a hip operation about 13 years ago.
Yeah. So it's the same. I had my first hip 20 years ago, and my other hip 6 months after, because I worn them out because I was doing triathlon and mountain marathons and things like that, and it was bad anyway. I didn't realize, and I did a film back in the 70s called The Big Zapper, which is terrible. It's a terrible film. But we had such a great time on it because I did it with Joseph Cheng, who was a Wing Chun stylist. So he and I just sparred all day long. Sparred and trained and exchanged. And it was just opening up. Like the stars were talking to each other. Bruce was coming on the scene. It was 74. It was fabulous time. And so we did a film. And I looked at the film, and I'm 23 in this film. And I have a limp. But everyone thought I had a swagger. They thought I was up for a fight. But actually, when you look at it now, I go, oh, no, I have a limp. Just a little limp, but just it's like a...
Yeah.
Like Popeye, And so I've been into that health thing. Meditation I find hard to do.
Yeah, I do.
Because I sort of get bored. I like it if it's really simple, if it's just the breath.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. If it's more than the breath, then they start saying to me, keep your eyes open. I don't like that. There's certain types I don't like. But I do quite a bit of breath work. Not hugely, but breath work's really good for turning off your sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight and flight thing.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And what you want is to turn on your parasympathetic, which is your rest and recovery.
Rest and recovery, yeah.
So I think lots of people should do more breathing. I never really got taught on the way up. So I did yoga, and that was really good for me. And Ujjayi breathing from that I use still. And just that thing about the breath is the way into everything else, isn't it? So recently I've had a bit of a the stomach problems have got worse. So I've gone on more breath, more meditation, more cold baths, more just getting my sympathetic nervous system toned down a bit. Less hard training, but more consistent training. So I don't. Back in the day, I used to say, "God, just choke me out," and I was like gung ho about all of that. And just recently, I mean, I'm 70 when this happened. I had 2 jiu-jitsu black belts triangle choking me with their legs, and I was going, "No, it's not right. Do it a bit tighter." And we did that for an hour, and then I got home, and then my nervous system just went. And I spent 2 weeks just not unable to sleep, body buzzing, and just like this. And I went, "What's that?" And I realised it was the combination of a bit of grief, because I lost my sister a while ago, and then plus getting choked out by 2 top black belts. I mean, they're both like world and European champions, and I'm going, no, it's not hard enough. And then I talked to my therapist, and she said, "You're an old man. What are you doing? Don't let these boys at you." And I still think I'm 35 or something like that. So so what I've been doing recently is the breath, meditation, the cold baths, dropping my training intensity down a bit, because if I was out on the bike, for me I was always being chased. And I wasn't being chased by anyone. I was being chased by me. And I'm behind me chasing me, and I can't let me overtake me. Sort of thing. I'm going. Well, you're going a bit slow today. And I'm hacking along. I'm quite competitive, and I go quite quickly. And I realise that's not doing me any good either, because that's like burning too hard, isn't it? So now I'm the age I'm at, I've got, and I think for everyone, you should spell those things as you go. Easy, hard, easy, hard, easy, hard, and less hard. Because for sparring stuff, I would say to people, sparring training is all data input. So if I'm throwing loads of angles, I don't need to smack you hard all the time. Because if I smack you hard, it stops it, and you get fearful, you don't explore. So what I need to do is tag you a lot. But you be aware that it's a tag, and I could have hit you hard. And then I'm just doing data capture, aren't I? And the more data I've got, the better my processes work. Because I've seen that 500 times now. So I just move, and I left it. I go, no, you're going to come with that now, just because I know, because I've done 1,000. So so I teach something now called 4D, and 4D is just an evolution of Jeet Kune Do. The Jeet Kune Do mindset, but for Filipino martial arts. So it's about the 4 dimensions of combat, of stand-up combat, which are striking, clinching, weapons, and group attack. And like we said earlier about the 7 excellencies, you can't do that in a lifetime unless you've got like you're somewhere on the spectrum, that you're able to take that in and be very adaptive to that. To be a human being and be kind and be empathetic, it's quite hard to do that. So I said, how do I take all those 4 elements, which are really diverse, and I teach people how to do those in a lifetime, or in under a lifetime. So it's really simple, but it's the same template, whatever you do. And so that's what we did with 4D. So we just went, well, this is the same. So this is the box, this is the split the box, this is the fold the box. So all these techniques you've got when you parry out there, or you do this or you do that, you can fold them all into this one thing. And you go, oh, it's just one thing. And then these are interpretations of it, almost like you playing a tune. You can do it softly, you do it hard. It's like jazz, isn't it? I'm doing. I could block close to me, I could block further than me, but they're all this block, aren't they? It's just where I do it. Just to simplify everything down. So that's what I teach now. I teach 4D. It's called 4D combat, but it's Jeet Kune Do and Kali mixed. And because there's lots of duplication in Jeet Kune Do and Kali, so I've got rid of all the duplication. So it's not like 2 things you've got to learn; it's 1 thing you've got to learn. And then I said, and how do you simplify that so it's less? Let's do the high priority stuff first, and get really good at it because it's high priority and it comes all the time. And then spar it a lot, so everything has to be tested, so that you own it. So it's almost like saying, I only know 5 things, but I know them really well, and I see them everywhere. So that's what I teach. And I'm teaching predominantly guys who have done 30, 40 years of training. And they're all going, this is the best I've ever felt. It just simplifies it and makes it calmer. Because they just go, so instead of it all coming at you like all angles, we just use a bit of geometry and put you where all those hands have to come through one spot. So you go, well, they're all coming through this infinity spot. So I haven't got 5 blows coming at me. I've got 1 blow. So I just offset you. So you're so I'm organising your game for you. So you're thinking, right, I'm a free person. I go, no, you're not, because I'm off screen. So you've got to turn the screen to see me, haven't you? So like that. So I do that all the time. Or I'm too near, like this, so you can't do anything. Or I'm too far away and you can't do anything. And then I add the nuances on, and then we fold the old techniques back in. But now instead of them being like number 1, number 2, number 3, they're just interpretations. So it's more live and more free. It's more jazz, and therefore you can spar with it. You spar with it, each element. You say, I'm only going to spar with this element only, and you can do anything you like, and then you just get better. Yeah, you just get better and better. And I use the same thing for striking, weapons, clinch, and group attack. Same principles everywhere. So people go, "Oh, I can actually do this now." So it's almost like the dream that you had is starting to come real.
True.
So for me, that's my path now, is to enable people like that.
Yeah. Well, that is a fantastic, just fantastic summary. Really, it sort of brings us right to the end of this one. So, once again, I'm so pleased that you agreed to do this.
A pleasure to be on.
I hope those that are listening.
I hope I haven't rambled too much, because I talk a lot. Yeah.
Well, my thing is, I'd love to have you on again. The other thing is that I must come up sometime and share a dojo or a dojang with you.
Let's do that. Yeah. The best thing you can do, I mean, let's meet for coffee or whatever, and that's great. But there's nothing like touching hands with someone and just going, "Oh, how would you do that? Oh, really?" And just because no one knows it all. No. And you go, how do you chamber that? Oh, really? Well, I never thought of that. So I think your cup has to be empty all the time. I think you've got to be constantly inquiring. I think you've got to be empathetic you've got to help people up, because your job is to bring people up, because empowering people is just such a buzz thing. And then you get such feedback from that, for you personally, and for them. So I would say to anyone who's thinking about what should I do with my job, become a martial artist, and become a martial arts instructor, but one who practices, not one who just talks.
Yes. Well, no, thanks very much for that, Bob. Hopefully, if you've got any information and you've got some ways we can connect with you, we'll put them in the show notes.
They can always get in touch with me or see my thing. I'm on bobbreen.com, or pretty soon it's only going to be bobbreen.com. But at the moment, it's also 4dcombat.thinkific.com. So the two sites, but they're going to merge next week. So
becoming next week. All right,
that's it. bobbreen.com.
No worries. Well, listen, thanks ever so much. All those listeners to this, I hope everyone's well. Keep living your martial arts journey, your martial arts passion. It's what we do. It's what we love to do, and it's what I will always do. I'll see you soon, and take care. Love you all. Thank you.
Take care.